Welcome, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
We'll go ahead and wait one more minute before getting started. Okay, Chris, it looks like enrollment has slowed if we want to get started.
Awesome. Thank you, Kendall. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon and welcome to the 2024 Agricultural Workforce Training at Community Colleges program webinar. My name is Christopher Green. I'm a National Program Leader in the Institute of Youth, Family, and Community in the Division of Community and Education, our extension. I'm joined by Kendall Barney, our Program Specialist, and I'll give her an opportunity to say hello.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here. My name is Kendall Barney, and I'm a Program Specialist in our Division of Community and Education and the Program Specialist for the AWT program.
Thank you, Kendall. Next slide. So before we get into it, we're going to start with our non-discrimination statement. These slides are available as well as this webinar after it is concluded, but there are contacts and ways to reach out to USDA if you feel as though you've been discriminated against. So please utilize the information on the screen. Next slide, please, Kendall. Okay, so starting off with some important dates for the RFA. So our program code is A7601. The program code name is Agricultural Workforce Training Grants Program. The application deadline for AWT is September 19th, 2024 at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Nothing will be accepted after that time, so please make sure you submit early as well as before the deadline. There is a limit to the proposals we can receive for institutions, so each review cycle may award up to 2 grants in any project type combination or per lead institution. The grant duration can be from 12 to 24 months for a design project, 36 to 48 months for an implementation project. The maximum award amount for a design project is $250,000, and the maximum for an implementation project is $650,000. We'll be getting more into these details in just a minute. Next slide, please. So getting us started, so what is NIFA? Who are we as the National Institute of Food and Agriculture? We are the extramural funding agency within the REE designation. We are created to spur scientific innovation, education, and extension programs. NIFA provides leadership and funding for programs which advance agriculture-related sciences, as well as administer federal funding to address the agricultural issues impacting daily lives and the nation's future. Next slide. The Agricultural Workforce Training Program is housed within the AFRI initiative, which stands for the Agricultural Food Research Initiative. This is one of NIFA's flagship competitive grants programs. It addresses key problems of national and regional importance by sustaining all components of agriculture. For research, it's answers to complex societal issues. There's education and integration, but we are housed within the education for training in the agricultural workforce. Within the AFRI initiative, it's $445 million in the budget for 3 different requests for applications. This is the foundational and applied sciences application, the sustainable ag systems application, and we are housed within the education and workforce development EWD application. Next slide, please. So as I stated before, the EWD priority area houses multiple programs. So besides the one checked off for us, which is the Agricultural Workforce Training, we also house the FANE program, so Food and Agricultural Non-Formal Education, the PDAL program, Professional Development of Agricultural Literacy, REU, Research and Extension Experiences for undergraduates, as well as predoctoral and postdoctoral fellowships. So all of this can be found within the AFRI initiative, where you would find AWT, and we would encourage you to look at any of those programs, as well as reach out to any of those team leads if you're interested. Next slide, please. Also within the AFRI initiative is the AFRI Farm Bill priorities. So these AWT projects must support at least one of these priority areas. So this can be plant health, production and plant products, animal health production and animal products, food safety, nutrition and health, bioenergy and natural resources and environment, agriculture systems and technology, as well as agriculture economics and rural communities. So just to restate, the NAWT project must support at least one of these priority areas to be recommended for funding. Next slide, please. So we're going to do an overview of the AWT program. So the Agricultural Workforce Training at Community Colleges priority area is seeking to develop a workforce ready for industry jobs in the food and agricultural sector. This can be done through the development, expansion, improvement, or renewal of existing workforce training programs. This must be held at the community, junior, and technical college institute level. The priority of these projects are to expand job-based experiential learning opportunities, the acquisition of industry-accepted credentials, and this can be through certificates, and the development of occupational competencies. And just to restate for people at the community, junior, and technical college level. Projects may link high school and community college education. Proposals aimed toward developing a bachelor or degree graduate program or pathways are not supported under this area. Next slide. So you may be saying to yourself, you are not a community, junior, or technical college or institute, but there are ways for you to apply to our program. Ways you can become eligible for this program is to partner with a community, junior, or technical college. While partnering with them, you can provide your expertise and network to build capacity. You can utilize your own network and facilities for student training, as well as facilitate experiential learning opportunities. Through partnering, you can also create pipelines, which facilitate student exposure to higher education. How could this credential be recognized by our institution or organization? Is there a way to create a way for those to be recognized, as well as stackable credentials, say a 2+2 program that you can partner with a community, junior, or technical college or institute. Next slide, please. So like I stated before, we have two types of projects. We have design projects and implementation projects within AWT. Design projects are developing, keyword, develop to new workforce training programs. These are 1 to 2 years in duration, and you may be awarded up to $250,000. Implementation projects expand upon existing workforce training programs. They are 3 to 4 years in duration and up to $650,000 in total. Matching is not required for the AWT program, and there's no difference to the applicant for strengthening versus standard grants. You also do not need to have completed a design project in order to apply for an implementation project through the AWT program. Next slide, please. So diving more into the design and implementation projects. For design projects, this is to develop a new program or a stackable credential framework in food and ag sciences. This must be developed and carried out by the community, junior, or technical colleges or institutes. And you must articulate the benefits accrued from planned activities and provide evidence of a high likelihood that quality future implementation applications will be submitted. So we just want to see that you have plans to continue the design project, or have plans to turn it into an implementation project in the near future after being recommended for funding. No student training is required within design projects. And just to reiterate, they're 1 to 2 years in duration, up to $250,000. And they are meant to design a new program or a stackable credential. Next slide, please. Leading into implementation projects expand and improve existing workforce training programs in the food and ag sciences. So just to reiterate, they're already existing and can be improved upon. So the improvements to the existing programs may only take place in the first year, and the remaining years are for student training. So for the first year, you can make your improvements, and then you have 2 to 3 more years to really implement those improvements that you've made over the first year. Implementation projects may be developed by or in active partnership with the community, junior technical colleges and institutes and their industry partners. The application must demonstrate the commitment and active partnership with a relevance to industry. So this can be listed through the project directors, the co-project directors, letters of recommendation. Please be sure to detail out how it will be a collaborative aspect to the proposal. Within an implementation project, they're designed to provide students with skills and tools necessary to secure industry accepted credentials. A portion of your funds must be allocated to student support, since we went over the implementation project and showing that most of your time would be spent for student support. You do, like I stated before, you do not have to have applied or received a design project through AWT to be eligible for an implementation project grant. Just show what has already been designed and how it can be improved upon. Next slide, please. Additional project information. The curriculum developed, expanded, or improved under this program area must lead participants to earn a technical certificate, stackable credential, 2-year associate's degree or technical degree, or under other industry accepted credential. Within a AWT project, certificates, training, or coursework for/part of a bachelorette or postgraduate degree are not supported under this program area priority. Interactions with industry and nonprofit organizations, including USDA and other federal resources, are encouraged. Reasonable costs for evaluation and hiring of evaluation professionals may be included in the application. And also, as applicable, if the majority of the project activities are taking place off-site, an off-campus indirect cost rate should be charged to the project. Next slide, please. We have some examples of projects that have been funded through AWT. Some examples include job-based experiential learning opportunities that allow students more time working in job simulation or on-the-job training environments, getting some hands-on approach to agricultural research. This can be industry-based training programs, apprenticeships, allowing students to earn while they learn, opportunities for students to utilize appropriate cutting-edge technology and advance their data skills through hands-on learning experience, and as well as refreshing existing curriculum and developing a stackable credential framework to meet the needs of the 21st century agricultural industry. So it's really about developing skills for students and really implementing them to see if this is a credential that can be useful for them as they develop their careers. Next slide, please. So as I stated before, an eligibility for an AWT project, there's quite a few ways to be eligible. So if you are a state ag experiment station, college and universities, this is including junior colleges offering associate's degrees or higher, university research foundations, other research institutions and organizations, federal agencies, national labs, private organizations or corporations. Individuals may apply as well, and any group consisting of 2 or more entities identified. Design projects must be developed and carried out by a community, junior, or technical college or institute with an active partnership or community partner. And then implementation projects must be developed by or in active partnership with a community, junior, or technical college or institute and their industry partners. So in order to be eligible, you must carry out or have the project developed by a community, junior, or technical college or institute. Next slide. So I'm now going to pass it on to, or I think I'm still on this one, right, Kendall? Yeah, sorry. So application submission. NIFA only accepts electronic submissions from applications from grants.gov. So please make sure that you are following the guidelines. All documents must be in PDF format. So make sure that they are in a PDF so they are readable for us. There are no exceptions to this rule. Once the deadline is passed, we do not accept anything that is not in PDF format. And if it cannot be opened by us, then it will be denied from review from panel. So please be sure to go over the NIFA grants application guide. We have the link here posted, as well as you can reach out to us for it, and it should be available on the RFA and grants.gov. And like I said, grants.gov may allow other formats to be submitted, but we only accept PDF format. So do not use third-party PDF builders. Next slide, please. Through the RFA, it contains this section of the RFA contains information regarding project summary and project narrative format. Proposals that do not comply with the instructions may be excluded from review and consideration of funding. There are AFRI-specific application instructions for the 2024 Education and Workforce Development RFA. There are multiple links and resources we have to make sure that your application is submitted correctly. So please be sure to utilize them and utilize the RFA request on the programs page on the NIFA website. Next slide, please. More application details within part 5 and C of our documents. You need within the project narrative, the project narrative cannot exceed 12 pages, including all tables and figures. The font size is 12 points Times New Roman. Response to previous reviews. You may submit an extra 1 page to, if you are submitting a resubmission in order to have a response to last year's previous reviews. The 1-page response to previous reviews does not count against your project narrative, so you then would have 11 pages on your narrative, including the response. But that is only if you submit as a resubmission. Other documents that need to be included are the SF424, the R&R, as well as the project summary, the project narrative, collaborative arrangements, expected outcomes. Also, the data management plan is required, as well as a mentoring plan and a supplemental information form. If you have any questions about these documents and what we're looking for, then please feel free to reach out to us individually. Next slide, please. Within the project narrative, we expect an overview, so a brief description of the objectives of the program to be developed, the body of knowledge and justification of the need of the proposed project. What is the approach? So you can describe the elements of curriculum development, the industry accepted credential of the project that would be developed or would be implemented. What is the innovation of the approach? Is it a creative, fully fledged out designed project? Describe how activities will lead to an enhanced agricultural workforce training. Within the project narrative, please lay out the education and extension environment, experience of the key personnel, the experience of the institution and the capacity of the institution, as well as the environment of the host site. Please be sure to lay out your evaluation and reporting techniques. So what is your approach for evaluating the student outcomes? What are identified pitfalls and limitations and proposed approaches to address the challenges that could come up during your project's implementation or design? What are the expected outputs? The number of products to be developed, the number of students to be directly supported, and the number of students who will be indirectly benefit from the products produced during the grants period. Next slide, please. As I stated before, a data management plan is required. So please title the document as data management plan and save the file as data management plan. It is a 2-page limit. Load it to field 12 within grants.gov. Within your data management plan, clearly articulate how the project director and co-PDs plan to manage and disseminate the data generated by the project. We do have a guidelines document for data management plans found at the following link. Also included on the webpage are FAQs and information to access the examples. General guidelines for data management planning for USDA agencies are available at the National Agricultural Library website. So please be sure to follow those as well as you can within our documents to make sure that your data management plan is eligible and accepted within your application. Next slide, please. Recently, within IYFC, we are requiring mentoring plans for implementation projects. So please be sure to title the document as a mentoring plan. Within your mentoring plan, you must describe the role and responsibilities of the PD and co-PDs in management mentoring processes. What are the training credentials of individuals who will serve as mentors? This description of the mentoring activities, as well as what the process to ensure reasonable accommodations for program participants are, make sure that those are being taken care of within your proposal. Next slide, please. Okay, now I'm passing it off to Kendall Barney, our program specialist, for the proposal evaluation.
Yeah, I can take over from here. Thanks, Chris. Just so I can provide some context regarding how applications will be evaluated, as well as providing some context for NIFA's peer review process. We do have a document contained or hyperlinked within the RFA on page 40. There's reference to AFRI's review criteria PDF, and we recommend taking a look at this resource to see how your proposal will be evaluated by the peer review panel. But to break this down briefly, there are 3 primary criteria that the peer review panel will be asked to discuss and to consider when writing individual reviews for applications. The first criteria regards the scientific and pedagogical merit of the application. So for this criteria, the panel will discuss the novelty and innovation for the approach in the proposal, as well as how effectively the proposal follows the program goals that Chris outlined previously. They'll also evaluate the project's objectives and outcomes and the appropriateness and impact of the proposed approach. The second criteria pertains to qualifications of personnel, facilities, and project management. So for this, the panel will be asked to discuss the key personnel's experience and qualifications and their role in the project. If the proposed work is original, the institution's capacity to carry out the project as described in the application. They'll also review the project management plan, the budget, and participant engagement. The third criteria pertains to project relevance for the AWT program. So is the project supportive of AWT program's goals? Are the methods to evaluate outputs, outcomes, and impacts effective? Is the project sustainable after the grant period ends? And what are some potential pitfalls and challenges, as well as ways to address these if they come up? Are those alternative plans described within the application? NIFA has a standardized peer review process across all of our competitive programs, and this involves inviting a panel of people with expertise for the given program and its priorities to come together and provide individual reviews on the submitted applications in a given application cycle, as well as have a discussion that towards the goal of rating and ranking these proposals based on their merit, which NIFA considers when recommending awards. So to break this down a little bit further, each proposal is assigned to at least 3 reviewers with the expertise in the proposed topic. And then these reviewers will read each of their assigned proposals and write reviews that evaluate the strengths and weaknesses per the evaluation criteria that I described previously. And then the panel comes together and uses these individual reviews to have a discussion with all of the other reviewers towards the goal of coming to a consensus on a final rating and ranking of the proposals, again, based on their merit. Generally, successful proposals are exciting to the reviewers. They're novel and they're innovative. But they're also well written, they're easy to understand. They tell a story of why the proposed project is important to the community and the impact that it would have. The rationale and objectives clearly fit the AWT program priorities. The budget makes sense and is reasonable and allocable. And again, potential pitfalls or challenges are addressed with alternative plans. Generally, the proposal doesn't have too much gray area that can be left to interpretation by the panel. Its approach and goals and objectives are very clear. We do have a resource on our site, which I've linked here and provided a QR code that can be helpful for preparing an application that is competitive and would rank highly amongst the peer review panel. Generally, these reasons for lower ratings are because the project is not of much relevance to NIFA's mission or the AWT program priorities, or otherwise it's poorly written, the objectives are not clear, there's errors and typos. The project might not be particularly innovative, or the benefits that the project would result in are not very clear. Or otherwise, the proposal might just not be as exciting or competitive in the application pool for a given fiscal year, in which case an application might be worth reconsidering, resubmitting, and being more competitive in a future application cycle. So just a few loose ends to tie up before we turn to the Q&A here. Generally, our competitive program review takes 3 to 5 months from the proposal due date to an award being made to an institution. If there's any delays or it's anticipated this will take longer, we'll keep you updated as much as possible. Our peer review process is rigorous and it takes time, so we do appreciate your patience, but generally 3 to 5 months is a good ballpark. We have some additional resources here for you as well. I recommend taking a look at our events calendar and subscribing to the NIFA update newsletter to stay up to date on when RFAs are released and upcoming other technical assistance webinars addressing the same. There's also some resources for finding additional funding opportunities, including our upcoming RFA calendar. And we do have some application writing resources here for you as well as information on previously awarded grants that can provide some context on projects that tend to be funded for the AWT program. I quickly wanted to offer some information to volunteer to become a panelist for NIFA. As Chris mentioned earlier, the deadline for the AWT program for this fiscal year is September 19th, which is give or take 7 weeks from now. That might not be enough time to write a highly competitive proposal. So a good alternative could be to volunteer as a panelist for this upcoming application cycle, in which case you have the opportunity to participate in the review writing process in the panel discussion, get some context on what reviewers tend to mention and discuss and highlight as strengths and weaknesses. And this context can be really valuable as you consider preparing a project and an application for a future application cycle. Beyond that, NIFA is highly appreciative of those who are willing to offer their expertise towards writing these reviews. It's an opportunity for you to contribute and help us to make sure we're funding the most meritorious and innovative and novel projects that will hopefully have an impact on our food and ag sector. So we are highly appreciative of those who are willing to support us in that effort as a panelist. We do offer an honorarium for non-federal employees and are happy to answer any questions about this going forward. Some upcoming webinars and proposed deadlines for our other education programs might be worth noting. I've included a link here for our RFA calendar and events calendar. And these programs also have upcoming deadlines. So if they're of interest, we recommend taking a look at the EWD RFA sooner rather than later. And with that, we're happy to answer any questions. I see that we've both been plugging away at those in the Q&A, but feel free to shoot us an email if you'd rather ask your question more privately or drop a question in the chat. Did I miss if this presentation will be posted? This presentation will be posted on our website, yes, as well as transcription. Is there any guidelines or suggestions for the participant support percentage or minimum? I would say that that largely depends on the approach of the project, so it would be hard to give a standardized answer. I don't know if you want to expand on that, Chris?
No, I think you answered it appropriately.
Forestry careers and training would qualify under this proposal, under this application, yes. It seems the chat has slowed. Are there any other questions we can address before we conclude? What about vet tech? Yes, I can provide some context that NIFA funds education programs in food and ag quite broadly. So a lot of folks think of food and ag just as plant science or animal science, but per even the AFRI priorities that we displayed earlier, there's also, we also support funding for rural development and business and marketing and food and ag disciplines quite broadly, as all of these disciplines contribute to a broad enterprise. So yes, I would say that forestry and vet tech definitely have a place in AWT. Can a nonprofit supporting colleges apply in partnership with a qualified community junior technical college or two-year program? Yes. I don't know if you want to expand on that, Chris.
No, that was the answer I was going to give, as long as they partner.
Does AFRI encourage the use of evaluators for these projects? Do you want to tackle that one, Chris?
Yep. So we do encourage the use of evaluators. I believe you can set aside funds with it's outlined within the RFA to set aside funds for an evaluator within your project. I don't know if Kendall has more information on that for the AWT project program.
No. Yeah, I don't believe an external evaluator is required, but I guess given the requirement of the data management plan and such, it does tend to help proposals be more competitive to know how the outcomes and impacts are going to be evaluated, if there's some sort of method to that.
Yeah, it's not a requirement, but there's definitely room to make that a part of your project if you so wish.
Can a four-year institution lead? The key note here would be in partnership with a community junior technical college benefiting community junior and technical college students.
Is a mandatory project directors meeting required? Yes, the project directors meeting is required and funded. Just to give an outline, we would give you more information on that if you are recommended for funding. But please make sure to put space in your budget for a project directors meeting. Can literally set aside a couple $1,000s to make sure that someone is available for the project directors meeting.
Any idea of a ballpark cost? It can really depend on where the project directors meeting takes place and how many days. So it'd be difficult to provide a ballpark, but it's probably worth budgeting for 3-ish days of travel. Would you say that's a good ballpark, Chris?
Yep, and I would probably you could do about 3 days, and then if you're looking from wherever you are to Kansas City, because that would most likely be the place, that could always be subject to change, but that's where our headquarters is housed. So if you wanted to budget that way, that's acceptable.
We're also looking into developing a multispectral imaging database for forage producers in Georgia. Our students, two-year college students, would be the ones capturing the images. We'd like to partner with other institutions to process the data. Would this be under our precision ag course? Would this project be considered ag workforce training?
Yes, this could be considered as long as you are showing how this would impact the students and what type of credentials that would be developing.
Thanks, Chris. Okay, any lingering questions? And again, feel free to shoot either of us an email as well. Will the project directors meeting be every year of the project? I believe that you would only be, that grantees are only required to attend one per the duration of the award, not annually.
Yep. Yeah, that's how I've always understood it as well.
Okay, with that, it seems that we've answered all questions. So thank you all for attending. And again, feel free to reach out if any other questions come up.
Yep. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Kendall. But yeah, please utilize our emails. We are here until after the deadline. So if you have any questions for your projects or how to develop them or any specific questions, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you so much for joining us today.